First option, childhood friends who grow apart as the story progresses. Former enemies forced to work together. Siblings who constantly bicker but would die for each other. Old quote-unquote co-workers together for one last job. Asked what quotation mark meant. They just sort of shrugged and then ran to the bathroom furiously rubbing their nose. So, Hasbro executives just kind of take what you get from them. We have forced together by circumstances and hate each other at first. My personal favorite, but we'll see if the dice are kind to me. And contractors who didn't sign up for this. And finally, we have a list of 12 suggested celebrity guest stars. We'll see if any of these guys get into the script. We have permission to pick 2 of them at random, and we'll just have to work them in as characters, protagonists, antagonists, whatever kind of feels right.
Scarlett Johansson is a big Pony fan. I definitely think we can get her.
Well, she insisted she portray Asian Americans. I mean, it's in her contract.
But I just want to be clear, we're at a convention and you couldn't find a 12-sided die to actually do this with physical dice on the counter.
Well, I could, but they're all the way upstairs and I'm all the way down.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
Okay.
At least busting out there right now somehow.
You are going to roll this first. The dice has selected 2, which means this one is going to be our main premise for the story, and I will post that there. Something like that. Number 2, the group dynamic. We will now roll a 6-sided die again. The dynamic is number 3, which is siblings who constantly bicker but will die for each other. Which should be very fun. This type of story. Oh, God. All right. Last but not least, we will now roll a 12-sided die twice. And this will give us our 2 celebrity guest stars. The numbers it gave us are 11 and 12. Oh, this will be fun. So we get Dave Bautista.
So I definitely know who those people are, but for the benefit of those in the audience who may not, could you explain?
Yes, I will. So Dave Bautista is probably best known as playing Drax in the Guardians of the Galaxy film.
Oh God.
And in Blade Runner 2049, he also played a man with very tiny glasses.
Okay.
It was very funny. Julia Louis-Dreyfus is best known as playing Elaine in Seinfeld. She's had a luxurious, lauded is the word I was looking for, made a career primarily starring in the TV show Veep as a politician who is not good at this whole people thing. So that's kind of her vibe now. All right, so now we have all of our information that we will be working with. We'll put that up there just to keep everyone on the same page about where we are, and now ready, set, go. Hope you guys have some ideas.
I mean, I think the opening is obvious. One day, let's say Sunny Star Scout, if we're going to keep her as the protagonist, just...
We could, Hasbro didn't explicitly rule it out. We could just slot Sunny back in there. We can't put Pip in.
No, but take Sunny, give her a brother, and one day Sunny just wakes up and she's an alicorn, and she has the same reaction any of us would have to waking up with more limbs than we went to sleep with the previous night, which is to say screaming and running throughout the house in a state of uncontrolled panic.
I like that. So we thinking like first 20, 25 minutes of the movie is just screaming, running around?
Yeah, just all around.
Unbroken tone.
Just keep that going for a while, and her brother or sister, whichever one we want to go with, is just massively unsympathetic to say, like, yes, I understand, but it was your decision to go and grow wings and like horns sticking out of your head. You should have thought about that before you did it.
Do you want to come up with a brother, or do you want to just make an you and use another character like Hitch?
I mean, we could use Hitch.
Yeah, I think maybe.
We cast Hitch as Sunny's brother, because that was definitely a rumor at some point that they were siblings. Actually, I guess it's not clear that they are. I will assume that they are, because that makes this a lot easier.
Yeah, I mean, for the sibling bickering, the main requirements are that the brother character has, self-confidence and is a little dumb, and I think Hitch checks both of those boxes just fine.
Okay, so we have them freaking out. Is it just Sunny who gets the power, or?
Now that's an interesting question. Do we have just one of them? Do we want to have Hitch have powers but doesn't develop until later, into like a climactic act moment that suggested that, or is it more fun? Is it more fun if he's just like the quote-unquote sidekick who really resents being called the sidekick, but is also very preternaturally good at it?
I mean, I'm leaning towards the second one because we've got a very natural premise. Say, Sunny is just so good at friendship that she spontaneously alicornifies. And if you want the sibling rivalry, Like, I'd be a little bit annoyed if my sister developed godlike powers because of how good she is at gardening. I would feel a little cheated if that happened.
Okay, so that's kind of our opening scene. Like the first 5-10 minutes is Sunny establishing herself in town as like the mayor about town. She's friends with everybody. She displays all the different elements all at once. She's, randomly kind to someone who needs help crossing the street. She, offers her umbrella to somebody when it starts raining. She just, in just a span of a few minutes, demonstrates all of the criteria that you would want for an Alicorn princess.
Can have a joke later where someone asks how she embodied magic, and she says, well, I'm an earth pony, so it's mostly implicit.
I think earth ponies have magic off screen that's never mentioned in 9 seasons.
Yeah, exactly, yes. No, we're on the same page.
I'm sure there's something in there.
I've heard that thing.
All right.
So I think all the earth ponies did have magic, and then all of it got just sort of concentrated into Pinky. So it's actually just the one.
Look, I don't want to detour us, because, obviously not Tom, but we need to be clear on this. It's been 9 seasons, we can admit. Pinky is clearly not a pony. I don't know what she is, but she's something from the Everfree that wandered out into town and came into London.
I agree with that.
Anyway, so we establish her character. She's the mayor about town. She shows all these traits of friendship. Get her back to her house. Introduce her brother. Maybe their parents are away, since usual justification for not having any family
Well,
around.
they're both like kind of young adults, so they could conceivably like live together. Hitch probably has a job around town. Like, he's well known, but he's not like paragon of friendship level.
What's the foil? Like they have to have, so they have to have something that we see in the beginning that's gonna come back during their big confrontation. What is it? We need to define that now so that when
We
it
set up the
get rid of
Chekhov's gun in
names,
the middle.
yeah.
That is an interesting thing to think about.
Because so we're saying that she's really nice and great, and he isn't.
So
Or maybe
His
he's just, like,
jealousy of her getting the powers at the beginning.
I think that's a
one.
good temptation towards evil for him.
That is a good, and we can also flip that around for her, that ultimately the way she defeats him in the end is empathy for the fact that, she has put him through a very, an unreasonable situation, and despite him being very jealous of her, he's genuinely tried to be a good brother throughout most of it.
I think that's
Ooh,
the
I like
good
that.
theme of any good superhero media is, the powers don't make you heroic by themselves.
Wait, I have it. So the entire thing about her is that she's like into friendship. She's all of that. And by being so into that, she's neglected to give friendship to the one person who has been there for her the
Always
entire
be their
time.
friend.
Yes. So the entire was just like discarding him because she's giving herself for
She gets
everybody
so
else.
into superhero thing, she's all up in this, she gets so stressed out about it, she's like, if I fail at this, who will be my friend ever again? And he said, I was always your friend.
Yeah, so they could be like, it'll be
And then there's
raining,
a-
it'll be raining, and they'll be like,
She
I was
doesn't
always
have
your
an umbrella
friend.
because she gave it away.
Yes.
Okay.
With reference to the Earth Pony magic thing, we can have Hitch say that he's the character who's worked very hard to achieve his abilities. Like maybe have a bit where he's saying, yeah, I'm learning, I'm mastering Earth Pony magic. Behold, as I can, crack a rock with my bare hooves. And then as an Alicorn, naturally she picks up a boulder, chucks it over the horizon. He's just like going, well, this was a waste of 5 years, wasn't it?
I'm just like college.
little too real there, Haas.
Hey, this is G6, we're not pulling any punches here.
Okay. All right, so we established them. She wakes up as an Alicorn. We established the fundamental dynamic. How does she get recruited into the completely original Elements Initiative? And what is it?
So Nick Fury here.
I think, when we're working with PG children's media that's very clearly based on another property, we can kind of play fast and loose with what's technically not plagiarism. So we absolutely could just have like
This is
a
where
pony
Drax,
with a cool scar
this is where Dave Bautista can come in.
like that. I think he would be a good leader of not S.H.I.E.L.D.
Okay, yeah. It'll be called,
And I'm going to be distracted by thinking of a really corny acronym for this organization for the rest of the panel. So at some point I will just shout that out.
Get the
Okay.
acronym out.
Hoof, the Honorable Order of Friends.
Ooh.
All right, we're done. Good.
Okay, so, what's his name? Let's call him Pony Drax. Pony Drax arrives, and he's like, hey,
Just a hulking mass of a pony who she thinks is there to like take her away to jail, and like she's just a freak of nature. She's not supposed to be like the treasure of an Alicorn in 100 million years.
wait, did she try to hide it, or is she like showing you?
She's
her-
got
Still
wings.
kind of like freaking out in her house, and like again, you're so supercharged with magic that you're just firing off spells all over the place. no idea what you're supposed to be doing. And that's how they tracked it. They tracked that there was this massive surge of harmonic energy that originated in her house. They've tracked her there, they found her. He breaks the news that, hey, look, actually, no, first he knocks her out. That's
No, he
just
doesn't knock her out. This is a.
Yeah,
Oh, that's weird.
No,
Why would he
not
knock
like
her
a punch in the head. It's like one of those fun little like tranquilizer darts. They have tranquilizer darts in Madagascar, so that's totally.
But this is like a young pony character. We can't do that.
All right, well,
No, the dart misses, hits a shelf, and knocks a bowling ball onto her head.
That's even worse. Okay, how about
Okay, but what if she asks, like, oh no, you're from a secret government agency and you're gonna, knock me out with sleep darts and take me off to a secret lab, and he says, well, I am from a secretive government agency, but I was actually just gonna ask if you wanted to. Why would I knock you out with sleep darts?
that's how it happens in all the movies.
Counterproductive. I want you to like.
I do need to interrupt and say that at one point we had to figure out how she did that so that we could build it into the plot at the beginning. So let's remember to circle back to that.
To how she did.
Like how she became an Alicorn and how that, like how it happened.
She's just so good at friendship.
Well, no, because it should tie in with the villain.
I think it can tie into it. So the premise that we were working with, that was kind of a loose premise, was that if you are so good at all of the elements of harmony, now that they have sort of suffused into society rather than being concentrated in these gems or individual ponies or whatnot, that you just upgrade into an alicorn. And that is some unknowable magical force enemy deciding like, hey, this pony's cooler than all the other ones. They're the coolest of all, we're gonna give them superpowers. And I think the villain is someone who tried to be heroic for the sake of a hero complex.
Okay.
He thinks this is patently unfair. Look at all these things I've done. Look at all the charities I founded. Look at all the people, the cats I've saved from trees. Why did you get chosen to be an alicorn when you're just a random nobody from a small town?
You realize who you're describing. The original leader of the Elements Initiative, Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
Oh my god.
Mm-hmm. I
Okay.
like that.
Yeah.
So she recruits Sunny with the guise of like, oh my god, we want to like get you in on this, figure out what's going on. But really she's like, I will destroy you. But we don't know that. But there have to be glances that are like really obvious where she's like, oh, I'm so happy to meet you. And then
She
it's
created Hoof not as a superhero agency, but as a way to figure out what was different about them and distill it into a formula that she could then give to someone else. So
Or take
Did-
it herself.
Yeah.
Or,
the super
you know,
alicorn serum.
she says she's not going to do that, but then, there's a whole third act fight that may or may not involve her superpowers. We can slot that in.
So then the first act is all that, and then we get to.
Well,
she
Dave
gets-
Bautista is kind of like an aged on the ground. He's the big hulking guy who comes in, and I really like the idea of Sonny having the whole idea of, you're going to knock me out and lock me in a prison for days and do weird experiments on me. No, here's a permission form. We have a couple waivers for you to sign, and then you can either ride with us, or if you want to arrange your own transportation, we can do that.
Okay, how does he come into this? He just comes along?
It's just her not legal guardian, but her accompaniment.
Hitch is worried about her. No, just
Yeah.
A lot has happened. He's like, no, I'm obviously not gonna let you deal with this. I'm gonna be there for you.
And she's like, whatever.
Yes.
That'll come into, yeah, and then.
Well, no, I think at the beginning they're genuinely close siblings. She wants him there, but she, as you mentioned, she takes him for granted. Like, she takes him for granted that he'll be there for her, and like, she can kind of not pay attention to the friendship that you have with family members, because they're family, they're supposed to always be there, but it's something that can be not appreciated to the extent that.
This is how we tie in that other plot that was like the characters, grow distant, to now we're really doing two plots at the same time.
And that's exactly why they put multiple up there, because Hasbro did so many things multiple.
Oh, okay, there we go.
Well, if he's not special, why would this secret organization let him come along? So they take her away, and he has to do like a mission to try to get her back because he thinks that they're hurting her, and he ends up being right.
So that's the thing, the organization is on the surface, just, we're trying to figure this out, we're trying to help you be heroes, so there's no secretiveness about it. He can come along, he can see what
No,
they're
no,
doing.
no, 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 no. Yes! I have an idea, okay.
Can I just come and sit down with you guys at this point?
No,
Yeah,
stay
you
in
actually
your-
take that.
stay in your lane.
So what happens is that they take her away, he doesn't tell him anything, and he's like concerned about her.
He's just come back from work and he's just.
Yeah, it's really gone, so he goes to get her, and he goes through all this thing, and then when he finally finds her, because he was worried, she's like, why are you here? You're just fine. And he's like, okay, I
David
guess.
Bautista's character, he goes through like a long, like, we have a whole montage of him doing a basic Mission Impossible scaling up the cliff of this like secret base, and David Bautista's character at the top tells him like, we left an address on the bottom of the note.
No,
You
it
could
has
have
to be
just come to
Sunny.
the front door.
It has to be Sunny who is dismissive of him, so that it hits harder
You
in
know,
the climax.
Yeah.
So he shows up, and it's like she just got the letter to Hogwarts to say you're special, you're magical, you're gonna get to come to a special, research institution where blah blah blah, and she is just starstruck. And he says, "Is there anything you need to take care of before we go?" And she says, "No, I'm so excited. Let's go."
It's like, well, let me leave a note for my brother.
Yeah.
But it's like, I'll leave him a note. I won't like tell him what's happening. And she
No,
phrases
she
the
can
note
leave
in a
him a
very like vague way.
Yes.
Taken away by guy I don't know.
She
Please don't worry.
because she couldn't control her powers, so specifically her telekinesis. Things in the house are knocked over, like shelves. And he comes up, the house has clearly been wrecked up, and there's just a note saying "on vacation, back later." No one knows where she went.
On vacay, BRB.
Yes, and scene later, like you said, of him like Mission Impossible, knocking out the 2 guards, breaking into the secret facility to save her, and she just goes, "Oh, you didn't have to do that. That was fine."
That's
I
what
sent
they
you a
call-
text.
Yeah.
Right here, and then he just stays anyway because he still cares about her, despite how bad she treats him. And we go into the second act.
And then I think they break him into the organization. You showed a lot of initiative there. I think we could use someone like
Oh,
you.
that's good. That will set up
And
that
they put him in
plot
the
point.
mailroom.
Also, he knocked out
He's not
like half a
super-
dozen guards.
Wait, somebody said something.
Yeah, no.
Also, he knocked out like half a dozen guards.
Yeah, you can have Pony Drax, like at one point she asks, "So why is he still around?" And Pony Drax says, "He scaled a cliff and knocked out 6 guards on his way to get you." That is actually very impressive. And
Did
she's
you
like,
say
"Oh."
something?
Can he go all Liam Neeson and take it looking for his lost sister?
Yes.
I'm thinking more like kind of a Splinter Cell thing where his eyes light up in the back of the dark corner. He slides down on the ceiling.
If he has the night vision goggles, when he comes in to save her, she can just say, "Where did you even get those?" Because I stole them from a guard. He says, "You steal things now?"
Yeah.
Leaving behind a note when you're going away, especially in that scenario, kind of come across as being very uncaring.
But that's the point. Like she like it is that she.
It's a quickly scribbled note. It's not a like letter like "Dearest Hitch."
Oh yeah.
I have
like-
gone to pursue my destiny. It's like, "Hey Hitch, don't worry about me, back soon."
Yeah, like something like she has to show that she is not even being considerate of him, so that eventually, when oh my god, I have it. Yes. Okay.
Family friendly.
Okay.
Sorry. The maybe Julia Dreyfus or whatever takes him at the climax. Something happens, and she's like, well, and she asks the brother, "Do you want to help?" And he's like, "What should I?" She obviously she doesn't care about me or something like that. And even the village is like, "Ooh, look at who you disregarded." Something like that. It'll make sense later. I need to like think about it.
Okay. So we got this. So she shows up. I think we got a pretty clear arc here. She is learning what it means to be an alicorn. We can have some spacer fluff in the middle about how magic seems to be returning to the world. So alicorns are coming back. Monsters are coming back. We need you to use your powers to protect Equestria. Something to sort of explain why this is there and what they're studying. Him introduced both Pony Drax and Pony Julia Louis Dreyfus, which
Right. Yeah. Julia, or we can just call her Elaine. Pony Elaine
Pony Elaine.
is running the facility. She's the head honcho of everything. Dave Bautista's like loyal employee, but still like kind of middle management here, like responsible for the guards. So he and Hitch could start a rapport together after he brings them on. It's like, hey, you knocked out half a dozen of my guards. You want to jump? One question that I think we should ask is, should we factor in a couple more people into the superhero team? Because there were other ponies who maybe got recruited. It's not just Sunny.
I mean, if we want to go with the 6 elements of harmony, clearly there would be 4 other ponies, and Hitch is the 6th element of harmony, which is how they ultimately defeat the villain at the end.
I like that. So we
We could have 5 alicorns.
So
Or we could not, that's also valid.
5 alicorns is a lot. We could just do a trio of alicorns, because then we could just make it Izzy and Zip.
Yeah, one of each.
Because then, one originated as a Pegasus, one originated as an Earth Pony, one as a unicorn, ostensibly. I don't know what Izzy is. Izzy is neither unicorn nor Pegasus nor Earth Pony. She's just perfect.
She and her one brain cell.
So, okay, so we have all 3 of them, and they're going through their training.
Oh,
How
yeah,
do we
full.
start going into like something has to go wrong? There has to be a problem.
I think they finished their first day of training. They're starting to get the hang of blasting things apart with their magic with something approaching direction. They don't quite mesh together well as a group, just because they don't know each other. They're kind of different personalities, except a very abrasive, athletic type. Izzy's, again, perfect, but also a bit scattershot. As Jaxie mentioned, it's not always her turn to use the brain cell. So,
What if Hitch is the one who's like able to like kind of like glue them together? Because he's like the straight man, so he's able to like kind of like get them together. But they'll think like, oh, but we're powerful, and you're like an army. And so now even the other two characters, once the big thing with Hitch happens, even they're like, oh, but we needed him. His power, he was just as powerful as we were, but in a different way.
and Sonny originally says like, well, Hitch, you don't have like alicorn ability. I don't want you to get out there and get hurt. And it's like, it's concern, but also it's kind of her not trusting him.
Yeah.
Because he's like, they're trying to help. He clearly has the capacity to help, especially because he broke in and knocked out half a dozen guards. But she doesn't have that level of trust with him.
Okay, so for how we introduce the villain at the same time as going on, as all this is going on. So they have to master their abilities to go fight monsters. Pony Elaine realizes, oh well, every time they defeat a monster with the magic of harmony, I'm able to collect some of it in my little magic crystal or whatever. So if I want to get enough to turn into an alicorn, they need to go fight more monsters.
We could even turn it into a staff. One of those little like wooden staffs that may or may not have showed up in the show at some point.
Yeah.
Maybe Hitch can start realizing something is weird, but nobody believes him.
Okay, so isn't it weird that after you got here, the rate of monster attacks in Equestria increased by 10,000%?
Yeah,
Magic is becoming loose. Like that, does that hold water to you at all?
That doesn't feel like a real thing that happens.
And then Sunny, because she's like, oh, I have new friends that are like me. She's like, oh my God, stop embarrassing me with your weird questions and your doubt.
And also they're famous too. So like after they get shoved into their first monster fighting, it's like a giant Ursa Major, which again no one's seen in 1,000 years because magic creatures aren't a thing anymore. It's rough, they get slapped around a little bit, they eventually win the fight, and then they're descended on by every newspaper and every camera in the whole country because here's a new team of superheroes that's gonna help us with these monster attacks. They've been small ones here and there, but this was the big one that they figured out. And at that point, she starts becoming more and more distant from Hitch because not only is there not a consistent relationship there that she fully appreciates, she can't talk to him about any of this. He doesn't get it.
Yeah.
Can drop some jokes in there, like at one point you see the classic like spandex superhero outfits, and the three of them just go, no, we're not wearing those, no.
Yeah. So, yeah, just the one in particular, absolutely not. You will never get me in that thing. It has a skirt. Why do I need a skirt? Okay, you know what happens with skirts if you do literally anything other than walk forward in a straight line?
So have Hitch in the background saying, isn't it weird that now that we have a superhero team, suddenly all these monsters are coming out of nowhere? She basically said, stop embarrassing me, stop the conspiracy theories. He's in the background running around the Elements Initiative, say there's an Ursa Major attack. And he's the one going, I thought Ursa Majors weren't aggressive. Don't they generally only attack things when it intrudes?
They're not aggressive, they're territorial.
Yes. And maybe he finds that the villain has been intentionally riling up all of these monsters because she needs them to be defeated.
Yeah, and he finds out nobody believes him.
Ooh, and here's a fun twist to that. That reveal is made at the end of the second act. Hitch finds evidence of it, and confronts her about it with Sunny in the room. Says, I know you're the one releasing these monsters. I know you're the one behind this. And she gives her big explanation is, these monster attacks are going to happen with or without us. Equestria needs to be prepared. And Sunny, I'm looking out for you. I'm preparing you and putting you in controlled situations where I can make sure you're capable of being the special pony I know you are. And so she convinces Sunny in the moment, like, hey, yeah, I'm releasing monsters, but everything's under control. I'm looking out for you, and Hitch over here is just jealous. He doesn't want you to be the best pony you can be. And she has to briefly.
No, and they kick him out. She's like, just
Yeah,
leave.
no.
Yeah.
I don't want you to be like this. And
No,
then
wait.
and then of course Sunny leaves and Pony Elaine immediately throws him in chains and drops him off
That
the
might be
cliff.
too much.
Well,
But
no,
Well, it doesn't kill him, obviously. nicely.
No, but like, I think it would be more devastating if Sunny said, yeah, you've never supported me.
It's always, because he's always the one telling her, like, Sonny, be careful, Sonny, don't do that, 'cause
Yeah,
he's
it's
the
like
older
says
brother.
you've never been there for me, so go away. And that would be the most, it's like when your parents say, I'm disappointed in you, I'm not angry, I'm disappointed, like that.
Okay, so I think the perfect way to tie both Sunny and the villain's dynamics together is if what the villain's saying is not wrong, per se. If Sunny was completely selfish, the villain actually hasn't been helping her. And Hitch is the one who has to say, right, but somebody could get hurt. And Sunny says, nobody has gotten hurt, we're there to save the day. He goes, right, that doesn't give you the right to unleash a monster in a major metropolitan area. This is reckless and selfish. And then Sunny is the one who just says, you're just jealous.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the dynamic that we mentioned briefly earlier. You're not a hero just because you have superpowers and a weird, awkwardly tight costume.
Yes.
Maybe that's what he says there, like he gets mad, he says
Yeah,
like,
that's a good line for him to say. You're not a superhero just because you have superpowers or whatever.
So that leads us then to the final fight. So fight, a bunch of monsters. Hitch is in the dungeon somewhere. The villain finally.
And David Bautista's character breaks him out. He's the contractor who didn't sign up for this.
Yes, there we go. Goes out. It's the villain versus the superheroes, and I think the way we get to the point about I've always been your friend is the other two have to get knocked out. So she would say, well, my powers are fueled by friendship. My other two friends are unconscious.
I have to go find the only other person I know.
And she is really, Pony Elaine is the one saying, come on, I'm your friend. Look, Hitch has always been trying to hold you back. He's always been trying to do this. You can't be friends with both of you. You have to shoot, like, you know who your real friend is. And Sonny looks at both of them and then says, my real friend wouldn't make me choose. And then that's her like turn back to being friends with Hitch, and that's where the Pony Elaine character like really loses control of herself entirely, injects herself with the experimental serum, so like kind of like does the whole big bad, like here's what was actually going on. I can't believe you lacked the vision to see what the future of Equestria looks like and the future of Harmony. Is this something dramatic of like, Harmony abandoned this long ago, and if we're gonna do this, we have to do it by force. And then she turns herself into it's not quite a pure alicorn, because I'm thinking like a cozy glow type alicorn.
We have to make
There's
our
something
own
off
harmony.
about this.
Okay.
Huh?
We have to make our own harmony.
Oh.
The first thing that popped into my head is maybe like Queen Chrysalis, something her horn is misshapen in some way.
Is she a unicorn? Or what was she originally? Because then she would grow a horn and it would be jagged.
Yeah. Okay. So let's say she's Pony Elaine is an Earth pony originally.
Oh yeah, so she relates even more with Sunny.
Yes,
Yeah.
because then you can have a moment of just Sunny going, okay, it's fine. She's an alicorn, but she doesn't know how to use magic. She doesn't know how to fly yet. We've got a bunch of weeks of training advantage on her. We can do this. And then she shoots beams out of her wings and knocks out two of them. And Sunny just goes, how can she shoot beams from her wings? I can't do that.
This is really unrealistic character development.
Why is she so much better at this than us?
And here's another fun angle to like how, because obviously they could do this whole knockdown, drag out fight, but Hitch made the point earlier that, they're in an urban area and we don't want to do the Man of Steel thing where, I could probably beat you in a superpower fight, but that would put thousands of other ponies at risk. We can't do, there's gotta be a simpler way to do this. And that was always, the purpose of the show. It wasn't about, eventually there was a fight every now and then, but ideally the solution was always figure out what's actually wrong and talk to them about it. And while she's fighting alicornified Pony Elaine, she sees her eyes kind of change into something that looks like the Ursa Major's eyes. She realizes that that's what all the monsters were. They weren't monsters, they were perversions of that harmonic energy. So it's all working off of the same stuff, and she figures like, hey, if I can get in there and I can talk to her inside of whatever this energy is, if we can like really channel it the way we were always theoretically trained to. Because that was always the thing, they were always training her to be in control of it. So that's the moment, the climactic moment she gets in control of it. She like does the whole Twilight Sparkle eyes turn white, like fully into it. And instead of attacking her, she takes her into this like space away from spaces and actually talks things through with her. And she sees Pony Elaine's childhood of like being, a huge, like the Sunny level fan of the main six, of like being obsessed with them, wanting to be heroic, and then constantly getting shut down and constantly getting more and more frustrated with how, other ponies were jerks, other ponies weren't willing to put in the work, and like at the end of the day, she did want to make the world a better place, but it got so corrupted by her own image of herself that, much like Sunny she didn't feel like she had anyone to trust. She didn't feel like there was anyone whose love and friendship was not conditional, because that was her experience. She always had a conditional friend. She always had, especially in like the business world, it's always like, what can you do for me?
Yeah.
And in the same moment while she's talking with her son, realizes like, that's what I've been doing to Hitch. I've been treating him like a conditional friend, and I've been so scared of him giving up on me that that's inevitably exactly what I made happen.
So,
Can I
so,
throw a quick concept out?
sure.
So what if instead of ponying Elaine trying to use the magic on herself, she tries to use it on Sunny? And Hitch takes the bullet. And they don't know what the magic will do.
Okay, so I think the point we're zooming here is that the exact way in which she makes up with Hitch matters. Because Hitch doesn't have anything to say sorry for, so she needs to be the one who realizes she made a mistake. So she sees Pony Elaine's eyes changing. She realizes, oh, with the friendship and the magic of harmony we can get to her. Pony Elaine goes, that sounds like it would totally work, and immediately turns her two friends to stone. Or freezes them in ice, or some other PG takes them out of the fight.
Turning them to stone is but it could also be like they're not entirely made to stone. It's like half and half, because like she doesn't have full control over this. There's a huge amount of power kind of using her as a conduit, but it's not in full control of it.
But they're out. Sunny runs. She's about to get finished off, and then Hitch takes the shot for her and goes down. That's when she has to realize, oh my God, Hitch was my best friend the whole time, and I've been a huge jerk. You have that moment of them reconciling, and then magic rainbow lasers.
And that's the moment, like with
That's the
him
thing,
like
she
turning
has
to
the
stone,
weight.
that's the moment that she finally gets control of it.
Yeah. And
Because
then
that, like she needed some kind of anchor. That's always what the magic of friendship was. It always had an anchor in the relationships that they had with each other.
Yeah.
I think that was really how the pilot of SIM ended.
Yeah.
It was Twilight getting control of it because she was basing it on these relationships with people who I personified these good traits.
And she can look at the other two alicorns and just say, yeah, I'm friends with them. They're great, but I didn't become an alicorn because I was friends with them. I met them after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I only became who I was because of you.
Oh my
Hitch.
God. Yes.
And then that's when she gets control of it. She saves him and then gets inside Pony Elaine's head.
And they have a huge
No.
talk.
Yeah, well, they have so they're rolling through memory. Like this is full on like they're inside some magical
Celestia's
space.
infinite white realm with the flashbacks.
Yeah, they
can't
look up and Celestia's there with like a Hawaiian shirt and sunglasses on. Like I thought, what? How are you?
No. We need to go full on Bioshock Infinite with this. In the distance, there's a trail where you can see Celestia talking to Twilight when she became an alicorn. There's just barely visible way off in the background.
Ooh. So
That'd be
funny.
Or alternatively, maybe that's what appears on some of the images floating around them. Like you have the wall of screens, like the Architect of the Matrix, and some of them are from previous
Like
generations.
Oh, we go all the way back to G1.
Yeah.
I think we have G1 screens in there, and like,
Are you including G3.5?
oh, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. We don't talk about that timeline, but it did happen.
Hey, harmony takes different forms.
Wait,
Sometimes
this is-
some of them are less aesthetically appealing than others.
Does Elaine get reformed?
Well, I think that's an author's call. Do we feel like reformation is possible? Because it is kind of in a Starlight vein of like, yeah, no one technically got hurt. Yeah, there was obviously a lot of damage done.
She becomes the new Discord.
Like a recurring villain?
Yeah.
Sequel.
Or she just
Or
becomes worse.
I mean, I think we can
The
answer.
necessary
So I think actually, and this is maybe where my own modern take on stories like this comes in. I think she's someone who would need to redeem herself over time.
Yeah.
Right, so like, I think she gets to the point where she stops doing what she's doing. She lets like the alicorn energy be drained out of her.
But she's not
It is-
reformed.
Yeah, she's not reformed. She's not ready to be completely cool with everyone. She's taken away by authorities, but she doesn't like
Oh, no.
completely rejected out of hand and have to be like permanently
No. She needs to go full Queen Crystal. Like not threatening to bite Starlight's face off, but it gets cured. The Alicorn magic goes away. She just looks right and bolts and runs off. And maybe have a moment of like Hitch asking, "Is she gonna be okay?" And Sunny can say something like, maybe. Redemption is not easy and it takes time. So I don't know. We'll find out.
And then sequel.
And then in the mid-credit scene, we see her. We see her like running alone, like hiding off in a ditch, and we hear a voice talking to her and like asking about, what are you gonna do now? Who I have no idea. And she looks up and no one's there, and then the voice changes a little bit. And it's John Delancey.
Okay, I love that, but I was thinking at the end credit sequence, you can imply it's after that, of her walking into a coffee shop, like buy a muffin, and the register, the person behind the register just goes, "Aren't you that mayor who went crazy and developed superpowers and tried to enslave the earth?" And she just goes, "No." Okay, that'll
You
be
look
good.
just like her.
All right. Okay, so we've got the basic arc. Open up. Hitch and Sunny as the main characters. Sunny is just so good at friendship that one day she wakes up and she's an Alicorn. She freaks out alone because it's relevant that Hitch does not know what's happened. While trying to learn her powers, she's blowing holes in the house, knocking things over, etc. That brings Pony Drax to show
Yeah, with the whole team of like guys in suits and sunglasses and full on, just like for all the world looking like the secret organization that's going to take her away.
Yes.
It's like, no, actually, we were just going to let you know, like, here, you can hand her the little tiny business card, that tiny book, or a huge book.
It's gotta be a pamphlet.
It's like, yeah, your superpowers and you.
Yes.
Your body's going through some changes, right?
Bonus points, she repeatedly attempts to pick it up with magic and just keeps slamming it up and down. He goes, just use
Or
your
no,
bonus,
she tries to
just
pick
use
up
your
magic the first time, completely incinerated, he doesn't even react, like, continues what he's saying, just pulls another one out of his coat pocket, and she takes it her own.
So you
Alright.
lives.
Yes, she basically reacts like she's gotten the letter from Hogwarts, that this is fantastic, she's going to be important and special and go fight evil. Pony Drax specifically says, "Is there anything you need to, wrap up before you leave town? Like, do you want to tell anybody where you're going?" And she says, "No, I'll just leave my brother a note." Leaves Hitch a note that says, "Off on an adventure, back later," and runs off.
With the house just completely wrecked.
Yes, he shows up, sees the house completely wrecked, sees the note, goes, "Oh no," she's been, or even sees the ponies in suits, maybe, "Oh no, she's been taken by the government."
And for marketing purposes, we can't have him be helped by a little cute wild creature that he finds while like cutting through the underbrush and climbing up the hill.
Oh, yeah, the little squirrel that goes, he goes, "What's that?" "Sunny's been taken by the government and I need to go rescue her." The squirrel's shaking his head, he goes, "I understand, I have
And
a
then
mission."
the neighbor next door, like the throwaway gag, it was crazy hair, just turns his wife and yells, "I told you! I told you they were revealed."
Okay, so Sunny goes off, she meets Izzy and Pip, also Alicorns.
At the organization.
Well, no, Pip is canceled at Zip.
Oh, that's Zip, sorry. I'm not gonna say all Pegasi look the same to me, that's what got Pip canceled in the first place. But Zip. They all become fast friends. They have to, learn to be friends with each other and use their powers to fight evil and get some monster fights. Have the first big monster fights, everybody feels good, introduce Pony Elaine as the head of the organization, who's not that good at concealing that she is in fact the villain.
So Hitch's the only one. Does anyone get really bad vibes from?
No, that needs to be Hitch's superpower, common sense. He's the only one in the story.
Hey guys.
This seems super shady.
He's the only one that noticed the Hasbro tag coming off her butt.
Yeah.
He's the only one who notices the ominous music whenever she walks in the room.
Yes, he
Yeah,
needs to
he's
know.
like-
He also needs to know this is a secret volcano lair. That seems unusual for a government building. It's really the most efficient place this research initiative could have been.
It saves a ton on central.
Hey, you grease the right frogs, and all of a sudden,
What?
What were you saying,
the
sorry?
frog in the love because
It saves a
it's
ton
that
on
was a
central
stretch.
heating.
Sorry, go.
It saves a ton on central heating.
Ooh,
Yes.
Yeah.
It costs a lot on earthquakes though. What's happening there? A lot.
Yeah, also turnover's really bad.
Yeah.
We really need to put railings around these pathways.
A lot of staff members just quit with no notice. So she's having a blast.
Hitch arrives.
Yeah, Hitch arrives specifically by climbing up the side of the cliff or volcano or other natural feature, rappelling down into the building, knocking out several guards, stealing their night vision goggles, cutting his way into the room where she is, and Naturally, because we have to get the targeted young audiences bits. She and her two new friends are like doing makeovers. The unicorn is showing her how to put little slices over her eyes, and Hitch in the full black camo comes into the ceiling.
Such strange face.
Just hi, Sonny, who's this? This is my brother. Oh, what's he doing?
It's like, who's that bitch? And he's got like a guard in a headlock, right? Like, who are you? I think he's unconscious.
I'm Pony Steve. Hey, Pony Steve.
So, can you let go of me?
Okay,
No.
so we start going through the thing, the training, it's all cool, they fight monsters.
Yeah, and they invite Hitch, like, oh no, this is totally cool and above board. Hitch, please stay with us, because they don't really expect him to have that, very rare superpower. You have common sense.
And during this, we see shit in the background like a poster for a seminar. No, you are not an evil henchman.
I like that. But better if the guards are like in jumpsuits. Maybe we have like a cameo of the Doomsday device from Austin Powers in the background.
That's for emergencies.
Full face helmets too.
You're not a
Yeah, and then they walk by and there's like a throwaway gag of one of them like lifting by. God, it's hot in here. We're in a volcano. Why do we have to wear helmets? It's for falling hazards. There's rocks. It's hot. I don't like it.
Oh no, we need a gag of that. Hitch steals a guard's uniform and walks up to a door that he needs to get through, and the guard says, "Well, obviously I'm going to need you to lift your faceplate because I can't see who you are. I mean, anybody could have stolen a helmet and just walked in."
You'd be surprised how often that happens.
Yeah, and Hitch just sighs, and then naturally we can't show violence in the kids show. So cut to the other side of the door, you just hear whip back, wham, pow.
And then he slams in with the guard in the headlock and he goes to the makeovers.
Yeah, perfect. So she's embarrassed that he's there. She's having fun fighting. This one we have like a montage of like her
Monster
becoming.
fights, yeah.
Yeah, monster fights, her being a big celebrity. It's where we make the superhero suit gag. She gets interviewed, etc., etc. And he's in the background, just doing the left-right glance on a lot of these things, noticing the "you're not an evil minion" posters, etc. The discussion with her, that's like, isn't it though kind of weird that since you became an alicorn, massive increase in the rate of monster attacks, this, and that it's only here, like not in any other city, only in the city you happen to be next to.
Like you already have transportation lined up, like right to that place.
That's when she says, you're being paranoid, you're just jealous, etc.
No, it has to be a big confrontation. I mean, yes, but it has to be like he finally decides I've had enough, and he confronts
But that's when he gets
Elaine.
the proof. He confronts Elaine in front of Sunny with proof that she did it. And Elaine just says, yeah, I totally did it. And
And here were my reasons why. It's because you're so very special, son. He doesn't want you to be special.
yeah, exactly. I mean, Sunny, you need practice. You know that if you're going to master your alicorn powers, you need to be able to fight these creatures of darkness. And it's better you fight them here, now, under circumstances we control, than you can, fully come into your own.
Someday there will be a circumstance we don't control. The magic's coming back, and all we can do now is prepare.
Yeah. And of course, just having Hitch going, no, it's not okay. He goes, but she's helping me. She lied, and she put innocent people in danger. And that's when she has to say, Hitch, you're just jealous.
Yeah, and then he says, I forgot the line.
You're never letting me do anything. You're always, you're restricting me. You're always acting like my dad. Because I guess there could be an implicit, like their parents aren't there.
Or
You're acting like dad, but you're not.
Ooh. Yeah. Okay.
And then Hitch leaves.
No. She storms off. Hitch is just standing there looking forlorn, and then looks up and realizes he's surrounded on all sides by evil minions. Just a moment of, pony feathers.
Tony, Steve, come on.
Yeah. We've been through a lot. Pony Steve's like, no, you put me in a headlock.
You gave me a concussion. That's a lot.
Yeah. We've been through so much together that you put me through. Nonetheless, I feel like we bonded.
And then when it's like the Pony Steve is the last card outside that David Jesus' character doesn't knock out. And then David looks at him and is like, "Are you still concussed?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm not gonna knock you out, that's okay. Just go."
So third act.
Third act, the villain has finally gotten enough power to activate her alicorn abilities. By this point, Zip and Izzy are starting to think that maybe Hitch had a point. That some
And also Sonny's getting really, Sonny started out as like the sweetest and nicest of all of them. And they're clearly the leader of the group, they're fine to work together as a team that way, but you're getting really into this whole superhero celebrity thing, Sonny.
Yeah.
and you're hanging out with the weird lady in the volcano later who cackles a lot,
Yeah.
we're not sure about that.
For Maxim would have Izzy point out, saying, Sonny, I'm not always the sharpest tool in the shed, but I can't help but notice that ever since Hitch accused her of being a supervillain, it feels like Hitch hasn't been around, and it's not totally clear where he
Or it's like in her single moment of lucidity, she like perfectly summarizes the entire plot of the movie, and then like all the psychological implications
Go,
of it.
and they're just like, go play with your toys, Izzy. Okay, regardless. So there's the moment that they start to clue in. I think when the villain shows up as an alicorn, that's when Izzy and Zip both go, no, stop right here. That is not what an alicorn is supposed to look like. I'm getting some real dark magic vibes off of this entire situation.
No, wait,
Well, they're
how-
all
why
like,
do they
it's
confront
before
her?
they turn to an alicorn that they all switch up and like they're not a friend, because it's the moment with her trying to make her choose between her and Hitch. And Sonny's the one who goes, a friend would make them choose.
So you're thinking that the breakout scene with Pony Drax occurs before Pony Elaine is an alicorn?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So Drax, so you have Pony Drax, Hitch, and presumably a few others, all confronting Pony Elaine, with the superheroes in the middle being asked to choose sides.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
while they're off doing their biggest monster fight yet, they have free reign of the facility, and Tony Drax, again, the contractor who didn't sign up for whatever the heck this is, lets them into like where they can find all of the results of like, here's all the blood samples, here's all the magical studies, and like it's very clear that they're trying to distill a formula. Oh, and there's one vial missing.
So to reference the superhero thing, so the fine superhero trope of the phone, and it's the police commissioner says you're needed right there. When Hitch, Pony Drax, and the others are coming for Pony Elaine, she hits the panic button, and so she calls our three alicorns basically to her office to say that she's in danger. So you have the alicorns arriving to protect her.
Oh, and then they have to fight 3 alicorns.
Yes. Or there's a lead up where you have Sonny saying, look, Hitch, you're not going to fight me. And Hitch has to say, yeah, I will. I mean, I'm probably going to lose. But
Does she have a dramatic plan? Because that's what the heroes do.
Ooh.
Yeah, I like that.
They do what's right.
Yeah.
Okay, and then now we have a like confrontation where Elaine makes him decide, and then
Yeah, it's
Sonny
like, because
realizes,
Sonny can clearly kick the crap out of him.
yeah,
But then it's like, all right, or is that what turns the thing is, because we can do this in a PG movie, like not actually like committing to it. Like, all right, you've beaten him, kill him.
No.
no,
So I think what's easier is you have Sonny. Sonny initially takes Pony Elaine's side 100%. It's not even a question. She's like, yeah, I'm on Pony Elaine's side. It's Izzy and Zip who go, no, I think Hitch is making a good point here. And that leaves her feeling like all her friends have betrayed her.
Come on, this doesn't feel right. Like,
Yeah. Something's wrong about this whole situation. So you have Sonny there left in the middle feeling that Hitch has betrayed her, Zip has betrayed her, Izzy has betrayed her, and she's the one here who's all alone. And that's when Pony Elaine takes the secret alicorn serum or staff or whatever.
Well, because Hitch is the one who finally turns her around. It's like, look, I know, because I think there is something that he kind of apologized because we're clearly not on the same level, but like, hey, you know what, Sonny, you were right. I was always paranoid that you were going to get hurt. I was always trying to protect you. You didn't need protecting. Clearly, you're so much stronger than me in so many ways. And all I ever wanted was for you to be safe. And if you're safer without me doing this, then I'm fine with that. But I don't think you're safe. I don't think these people have your best interests at heart. And that's all I wanted to do. I never wanted to hurt you or limit you. You're my sister. And then that's when Pony Elaine's like, come on, you're listening to this. He's trying to manipulate you. I'm your real friend. Choose which one. It's him or me. And then it's like,
Real friend
real
wouldn't
friend
make me
wouldn't
choose.
make me choose.
Pony Elaine just sighs and goes, okay, plan B.
All right, I'm flexible.
Yep, turns into an alicorn. You have that whole bit about, okay, she's new to her alicorn powers, we totally got this. Shoots beams from her wings and turns into Princess Stone. How can she shoot beams from her wings?
and then we have the talk inside of her head,
Because Hitch takes the shot.
yeah.
Walking through the infinite white space of basically of Pony Elaine dealing with the fact that she really wanted to be the chosen one and she's not the chosen one. And having that
And then there's like this venomous, like, why was it you? Why was it like I've accomplished all these things? I'm this well-loved and adored person who rose to the top level of this organization, you're a mayor from nowhere. Why is it you? And then Sonny says, I don't know why it was me, but I know why it wasn't you.
Oh. You could also, I mean, if you want to elaborate on that after, you could also go with because it's not about me. Because.
Ooh, I like that even better.
Oh.
That's why. That's
Yeah.
why it was her. It's because it's not about me.
Just, and with the full-on, and I lost sight of that for a little while. But and have the floating image in the background of Caps from earlier in the movie of like her enjoying getting her picture taken, that sort of thing. But just saying, ultimately, it's really not about me. It's about the people you care about, etc.
And that's what it says.
And as she's saying that, it's about the people you care about, there's like an image of Hitch in the background of those floating screens.
Yes, do a lot with those floating
She
screens.
could also say something like, it took my best friend to show me that.
Ooh, I like it.
I like that. Ooh.
All right, so the villain has enough of a realization that maybe something to the effect of you started in a good place, but you've become everything that you wanted to be. The dark magic leaves her body. She goes back from being an alicorn to being an earth pony.
But rather the destruction that's happened.
Yes.
And you get, because it's PG, you get images of like ponies helping other ponies out the road. Like it's not like an apocalyptic scene, but it's
Yeah.
like, they tore the place up pretty good.
There's that moment of Sunny extending her hand and saying, "It's okay, come with me," and she just backflips out of there.
Flips out,
Well,
yeah, just
that
runs.
were repeated.
And that sequel page,
No,
I'll be back.
I think there needs, okay, so if you want to go full on, there's like 2 of guards standing behind her and all the alicorns around her, and she backflips, does a split, knocks out 2 of the guards, and then goes out the window and pirouettes down to the catwalk and runs away. And you just have Hitch going, wow, that was really, when did she learn how to do that?
Your pony's could she do that the whole time?
Yes.
Why did she never just do that? The alicorn magic was totally unnecessary.
Yes.
She knocks out Pony's teeth.
God damn.
Come on, man, he's already concussed.
Oh,
At the
we
end,
didn't-
as they're leaving the evil, fortress, they see a new hastily written seminar. So you found out you were an evil henchman.
Yes. Oh, and Pony Steve is distinguished from the other guards because since Hitch steals his helmet, he's the only guard without a helmet. So you could have maybe a gag or something like, you really need to get a new helmet, man. Hey, the helmets are fine. They protect your head. I'm fine. And then he gets kicked in the head.
And then we have Hitch asking, will she be okay? And then Sunny says, I don't know, but I guess we'll find out. And then we have a nice ceremony scene and
Like David Bautista's promoted to the head of the organization and we're putting our best agents on that.
Yeah.
And then she has her little figurine of Twilight, and she puts it I don't know, some callback to the main 6 or whatever. And then we have the movie.
And then
To go to mid credits.
yeah,
And the
mid-credit
mid-credit.
scene of her getting reached out to by Discord, and end credit scene of her attempting to buy a muffin and being told, aren't you that crazy mayor who tried to take over the world? No? Okay.
Sure.
Looks just like her, 2 bits.
And that would be the movie.